The drill bit screamed through sandstone 3 miles beneath the Sahara, and Maya Torres watched her scanner spike into numbers that shouldn't exist. Heat signatures, electromagnetic pulses. Something down there was alive, or had been, and it was massive. "Stop drilling," she ordered into her headset. The Moroccan mining survey was supposed to be routine. Map mineral deposits, file reports, go home. Instead, her equipment was detecting a hollow chamber the size of an aircraft hangar directly below them. 20 hours later, Maya stood at the entrance to something impossible. The chamber walls were smooth as glass, covered in symbols that predated human writing, but she barely noticed them. At the center of the vast space, suspended by chains of crystalline material that pulsed with dying light, hung a woman, 30 feet tall, humanoid. Her skin was pale gray, her hair a cascade of silver that pooled on the stone floor, and her eyes, when they opened, were the color of distant stars. Maya's breath caught, the giantess's gaze fixed on her with an intelligence that felt older than mountains. The translator AI clipped to Maya's belt word frantically, attempting to decode the symbols etched into the chains. A single phrase emerged: "Guardian of the Devourer." Maya's hands trembled as she approached. The chains were degrading, their light flickering weakly. She'd spent 15 years digging up the past, but this wasn't history. This was something humanity had forgotten on purpose. The giantess's lips moved, forming words in a language dead for millennia, but the desperation in her voice was universal. She wasn't begging for freedom. She was warning. Maya turned, following the giantess's pointed finger across the chamber. There, partially hidden in shadow, stood a second seal. Smaller, darker, and cracked. "Doctor Torres, we're reading seismic activity. You need to evacuate now." But Maya was already moving toward the plasma cutter. The giantess's chains were failing anyway. Maybe she could help. Maybe she knew how to stop whatever was in that second chamber. The crystalline bonds shattered under the cutter's beam, and the giantess collapsed forward, catching herself on hands that could crush a car. She spoke again, urgent and rapid, and this time the AI caught fragments, sealed together. 50,000 years, I guard. Do not. The rest was lost in the explosion. The second seal didn't crack, it detonated, and from the smoking darkness poured a tide of metallic nightmares. Each creature was the size of a dog, covered in razor-edged plates that shifted and reconfigured. They moved like liquid mercury, and where they touched stone, they consumed it, growing, multiplying, splitting into 2, then 4, then 8. The giantess, Kaela, her name was Kaela, roared and struck the nearest cluster. They shattered but reformed instantly, learning from the attack. Maya ran for the exit as her team screamed into their radios. Behind her, Kaela fought with the fury of something that had waited 50 millennia for this exact failure. By the time Maya reached the surface, military helicopters were already circling. Someone had been monitoring the site. Someone always was when you found something this big. A colonel with cold eyes met her at the perimeter. "We're taking control of this operation, Doctor Torres. Whatever's down there is a matter of national security." "You don't understand," Maya gasped. "There are things down there. They're spreading. They're..." Cracks spiderwebbed across the desert floor. And then they came, bursting from the earth like a swarm of mechanical locusts. The Devourers had reached the surface. Gunfire erupted. Missiles screamed overhead. For every Devourer destroyed, 3 more rose from the fragments. They consumed sand, rock, metal, flesh, anything with matter they could convert to replicate themselves. Within an hour, they'd covered 10 square miles. Within 6 hours, they'd consumed half of Morocco. Kaela emerged from the ruins of the dig site, battered but moving. She was weaker than she should be, 50,000 years of imprisonment taking their toll, but she fought anyway. Maya watched through satellite feeds as the giantess carved paths of destruction through the swarm, buying time for evacuations that couldn't move fast enough. The global response was unprecedented. Every nation mobilized. Nuclear options were discussed and rejected. The Devourers fed on energy. Conventional weapons only gave them more material. In 3 days, North Africa was gone. In 5, they'd crossed into Europe and the Middle East. Projections gave humanity 2 weeks before total extinction. Maya found Kaela in the remains of Cairo, surrounded by mountains of broken Devourers that were already reassembling. The giantess was bleeding light from a dozen wounds, her ancient body failing. When she saw Maya, she knelt, bringing her massive face level with the human woman. The translator had learned enough by now. Kaela's words came through clearly. There is a way. Inside me. A genetic weapon, a pulse that destroys all complex technology in a 1,000-mile radius. It will stop them, all of them, everywhere, simultaneously. But it will stop everything else too, and it will kill me. Maya felt her throat tighten. There has to be another way. There is not. This is why I was sealed, not as prisoner. As final solution, the pulse requires a living host. I was meant to die 50,000 years ago, taking them with me. Your species found me first, gave me freedom I never asked for. Kaela's hand, each finger the size of Maya's arm, gently touched the woman's shoulder. I do not blame you. You could not know, but you must choose now. My life for your world, or all life ends. Around them, the screams of dying cities echoed through the smoke-filled air. Maya thought of the 7 billion people depending on a choice she had no right to make. She thought of the giantess who had guarded a tomb for epochs, asking nothing, receiving only chains. Freedom had been Maya's gift to her. Death would be humanity's answer. I'm sorry, Maya whispered. Kaela smiled, a sad ancient expression. Do not be. You freed me. Even for days I knew sky again. That is more than duty promised. She pressed something into Maya's hand. A crystalline shard, warm and pulsing. The knowledge. Other sights, other guardians, other sealed things. Someone must know. Someone must watch. That burden is yours now. Maya activated the device with shaking hands. Kaela's body began to glow brighter and brighter until looking at her was like staring into the sun. The pulse erupted outward, a wave of invisible force that swept across continents in seconds. Everywhere it touched, the Devourers simply stopped, their complex mechanisms reduced to inert metal. But the wave didn't discriminate. Satellites fell from orbit. Power grids died. Every computer, every engine, every piece of modern technology ceased functioning. When Maya's vision cleared, Kaela was gone. Only dust remained, scattering in the wind across the ruins of a city. The world went dark for 3 years. Billions died in the chaos of sudden regression. But humanity survived. They rebuilt. And Maya, carrying Kaela's final gift, established the Guardian Protocol, a network of watchers monitoring the 12 other sites marked in the crystal's data, sealed chambers scattered across the galaxy, each containing horrors and the heroes who'd sacrificed everything to contain them. Humanity had freed one Guardian and learned the cost. They would not fail the others. The stars held terrors, yes, but now they also held humanity's promise that the watch would continue, that the seals would hold, and that when the time came, humans would make the same choice Kaela had made. Some burdens were too important to refuse. Some prices had to be paid. That was the lesson written in dust and starlight, in the space where a giantess had stood, moments before choosing extinction over failure. Maya touched the crystal at her neck and looked up at the night sky. Darker now without satellites, but somehow brighter for it. Somewhere out there, 11 guardians still waited in chains. Humanity would find them, and this time they would understand what freedom truly cost.